Hi guys, I'm just waiting for everyone to come on. Yes, I am live. I don't particularly like being live. I feel like there's so much pressure. Hi guys. Hi. Hello. So, yeah, I'm coming on live obviously for a reason. I'm really excited to talk to someone who I personally have looked up to for a while. And hello, Sonia, how are you? And we're going to talk about the upcoming course that we're doing on We Are Warriors. Marco, hello. There's so many people I know that are coming on. Hello. So yeah, we're going to be talking about this course that I wanted to bring onto my personal wellness and fitness community. So I created this because, you know, I see the school system not teaching us the tools that we really need, whether it be self-love, taxes, like knowing about what's actually going on with our planet. Like there's so many gaps within the school system. So that's why I created this community. And we were so lucky to reach out to this girl, Nicole Lappin. She's actually going to be coming on to this live. I'm just waiting for her to come on. And we're going to talk about the course, about her history, why she wrote the book. Very excited because these are the kind of teachers that I wish I would have had when I was younger. So I'm happy to bring them to you so we can like be rich bitches together. So that's kind of like the intro of this. Let me see. I think Nicole will be coming on. I'm just waiting. Okay, I'm gonna view the requests. I wonder, oh, here, there we go. Nicole. Okay, just sent a request for her. But yeah, you guys, we are going to talk. Hello!
Hi!
So nice to finally, this is the first time we've talked. Kind of.
I just want to hug you.
No, I want to hug you too. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you so much for having me. I love what you're doing with this community, and I think you're right on that we talk a lot about health and wellness in different aspects, but financial wellness is a huge part of it.
Exactly. And it's something that I didn't, like, there's nowhere to grab onto it to learn it. And so for me, creating Warriors was literally that, because I was, you don't know much about me because we haven't actually talked, but I was actually homeschooled my entire life. So I kind of watched the school system from an outside perspective, and I was like, there's things that are lacking. Like there was so much I learned just from life experience that I wish would have been taught in some way. And that's why I was so excited when we reached out to you and you were like, yes. And I was like, yes, come on.
I love that. That makes me so happy. It's so true. You know, I wasn't homeschooled, but I grew up in an immigrant family. So first generation American, super broken home, like never learned about any of this stuff growing up. There was no Wall Street Journal on the kitchen counter. Nobody talked about stocks or bonds, and we didn't learn this in school. And, you know, my boyfriend in high school said he wanted to be a hedge fund manager. I thought the dude wanted to be in gardening. So I was so clueless, sister. And I realized that money is just a language like anything else. We just don't have a Rosetta Stone for that language. And so if you went to Japan, you didn't speak Japanese, you'd be confused. If you went to Wall Street and you didn't speak the language of money, you'd be confused. But then as soon as you speak it, you realize it's not that serious. And then you can join the conversation, and not only join the conversation, but grow real wealth. Get your financial life together once and for all.
Exactly. That's what, you know, that's what I wish I would have had at 17 years old. It's like, no, you don't have to necessarily wait to learn this information until you're old enough in society. Like so many like loopholes as well, and like things that we can start early. Like if I would have known like little things about accounts that I could have made when I was younger. And so I think this book, I mean, you've written multiple books and I love them, but we are specifically talking about rich.
Thank you. That's my first baby. I know I birthed so many book babies. I haven't birthed human babies, and then I just signed a 7-book deal. So Miss Independent is coming out in January, which is I know, I'm like, I need to take book birth control or something. I gotta tie my book to
I want to ask you, like, I guess this isn't, but like, what's your process? Like, how do you start a book? I feel like it's such an intimidating thing. I know this isn't what personally I'm curious.
we're gonna have a boot camp. We're gonna have a special boot camp, you and me, to get it going. But it took me 10 years to get my first book deal. I had all these false starts. I never thought it was gonna happen for me. I started as an English major in college. Actually, I wanted to be a poet. So like, y'all, I wanted to be a poet. If I can figure out finances, I promise anyone can. So I became a writer, just not the kind I expected. And you know, it drives me crazy when a lot of entrepreneurial experts will just come out and say like, go out and do what you love, YOLO, FOMO, whatever, yo. And it's like, cool, that's great, and rainbows and butterflies and all of that stuff, but you also have to pay the bills. Like, there's no shame in feeding your family and taking care of yourself. And so I had to find the shaded part of the Venn diagram where I looked at the opportunities I had. So I got a job on the floor of the Chicago Merc as a business reporter when I was 18. Hated it, hated business, like totally lied when they asked me if I knew anything about business news. I faked it till I made it. Because, right, that's what you do when you need a job. You're like, totally, absolutely.
Learn it right.
And then, yeah, and then I figured out like I love writing, and then that shaded part was, you know, I just became not the kind of writer I expected. And so my process is all over the place. It's not organized. I wish I could tell you it is, and I had some crazy system, but I'll share all my spreadsheets and stuff with you. I got you, mama.
Oh my God, that sounds so amazing. So so since this is your first baby, which I think is like so perfect because we are like, it's a community of about 3,000 girls, and we from 15 to a month 35. So it's like a long, like, and we focus on fitness, mental health, wellness. We're putting in different areas of like environmental, and then we really wanted to find was like for me, I always talked about, even when we hadn't reached out to you, I really want to manifest someone, of course, an empowered women. Like that was like the image for me. And then one of my founders, Anthea, she was like, I think, and I was like, oh. So what was the process like, and what were your thoughts? Like, what was the, I guess, market in which you wanted to tap into? Was it for younger girls? Like, what was the thought behind it?
Totally. So I went on after I was a reporter on the stock exchange in Chicago to anchor on CNN and CNBC and Bloomberg and talking to old rich white dudes about money. And I realized like I was just getting these dudes richer, and like they didn't need me. I was commoditized, and I wanted to talk to my former self, that girl who was smiling and nodding and so stumped and so clueless about basic money conversations and too scared to ask. So I wanted to reach her. And the rich bitch is, you know, we've been called a bitch in a derogatory sense. So I wanted to take it back and own it as a badge of honor, because what people meant when they called me a bitch in my career as I was coming up, they meant that I was strong and powerful and ambitious. And if that meant I'm a bitch, then I'm a bitch, and I own that as a badge of honor, like so many kick-ass women out there.
Yeah. Wow. That's exactly literally what, that's why because so I feel a connection to, I was just like thinking back, you know, my mom passed away when I was 17, so I didn't have guidance, and I wish I would have had a community, some sort of structure, because I do feel like the way we learn the things that we need, it comes from books, it comes from following mentors. Like I'm such a big fan of mentors, and to me, like you are the mentor in this space. So I want to like, so how did you structure the actual books? Because I know, because it's so overwhelming, especially even for me. Like I'm 24, I'm still learning. And it's overwhelming. And I selfishly was like, I want her to come on and sit on that as well. How did you, because I know it's structured in a really simple way. Did that come to you naturally, or is that something that you saw like through your career?
Yeah, I was so overwhelmed getting my finances together. Like I remember I wanted to do my taxes one weekend, and I thought I was just gonna boot camp it, and what ended up happening is like I ended up on the couch with Haagen-Dazs and a bottle of wine, and like the taxes were undone because I tried to do all of it at once. But instead, if you break it down into baby steps, even overwhelming things don't feel as scary. So it was like, okay, one day all I'm gonna do is uncrinkle my receipts. Literally, that's it. Success. Next day, I'm gonna put them in little piles. That's all I'm gonna do. And so I think I use this idea of a step program because the first step to any recovery is admitting you have a problem. And we all have problems, especially financial problems. And the only one you can't fix is the one you don't admit you have. So you have to be super, super honest with yourself and super specific about what those problems are. And if it's debt, come up with a plan. I like to prioritize to pulverize, and I love alliteration. It just makes it more fun.
Oh, happy. I love poetry. That's amazing.
And yeah, I mean, not all debt is created equal. So like you start with your highest interest rate and then go down. But this is stuff that I learned in the school of hard knocks. Like I didn't get my MBA. I didn't work at a bank. And I'm like, if I can do it, so can you. You know, I grew up, as I told you, in this home. My father died of a drug overdose when I was young. Like my mother sort of pieced out. And so I needed to work as a necessity. And you know, I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I at times didn't even have a spoon of food in my mouth growing up. And so for me, it was not a choice. It was like, you're gonna make it or you are going to live on the street. And I'm still fearful. It's so irrational of being like broke alone. Then that you can actually get to the other side of it, because not to get all philosophical, but you know, Stoicism teaches us that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. And sometimes the biggest enemy is between our ears. That mean girl needs to sit down and take several seats.
Yeah, I mean that's what I love to talk about. I always go back to the spiritual side of it, because that's what keeps repetition of the trauma is what keeps that repetition, that problematic thinking happening over and over. And what is one piece of information, because I know some of you guys will be coming on to the course after this and joining us. It's going to be so beneficial, so excited. But if not, what is one piece of advice you could give to a young girl? I know a lot of the warrior girls are watching right now, and they're very...
Well, hi. I'm so excited to get into the Warriors program. I can't wait to dig into Rich Bitch. I think one thing you can do right now is organize your spending plan into the 3 E's: essentials, endgame, and extras, where 70% of your overall take-home pay goes to the essentials, so your food, your housing, your transportation, all that jazz. 15% goes to the endgame, so the future Alexis, so your future self, your savings, your retirement. And yeah, the earlier the better, because then you get to reap the benefits of compound interest. When it works against you, we know how it works on credit cards. It is the worst. But when it works in your favor on the flip side, in investing, it's the best, because your money is working for you while you're sleeping. And then 15% to the extras. So like the latte, the mani-pedi. I did this originally because I was so upset by these financial experts who would come out and be like, don't buy a latte, then you'll get to financial freedom. I'm like, hell to the no, I am buying my latte. Like, there has to be a better way. And you know, you talk about this all the time, like a healthy plan. I think of a spending plan like an eating plan. If you think of a crash diet, right, it sucks. I don't even know what the crash diets are these days. Keto, schmeto, like grapefruit, whatever. Like, you are so hungry and so deprived that you end up in the middle of the night noshing on a big old hunk of chocolate cake, because like you are starving. The same thing happens with an extreme financial diet. That's why I call it a spending plan. So it allows you to have small indulgences so you don't end up binging later on. So allow yourself a small Hershey's Kiss so you don't nosh on a big old hunk of chocolate cake.
And there's no like guilt attached to that extra. I think that's what happened to me when I was younger, and I wouldn't want to look. I would just like, I just want this. And then there was this guilt that kind of bundled up into that. It was almost just as bad as just not having it, because the guilt was coming up inside, because I was like, am I responsible? Can I afford this? I'm too scared to even look if I can. Like, and that's a weird cycle as well.
It's a shame cycle too. You're just hating on yourself. And if you put it above board, then you don't need to shame yourself or hate on yourself. It's like if you're running a company, think of yourself like a business, right? The company has a budget for, mugs or, desks or whatever. Like, when they buy that, it's in the budget. And so when you account for a latte or mani-pedi or whatever does it for you, it's above board. You don't need to sneak it. And what happens, like, if you start in the beginning of the year, oftentimes people will be like, I'm cutting everything out cold turkey. I'm curling in the fetal position, clipping coupons, stocking up on water. I'm good. I'm going to get my financial life together. I'm like, oh, really? Because come this time around April, they're like, yeah, I got the Gucci purse because I was so good and didn't buy the latte. I'm like, girl, if you just bought that latte, then you would feel more satiated. And this is what we work for. We cannot come to this from a place of deprivation. We have to come to it from a place of aspiration
and abundance. Right. That's what we, I just talked briefly with the girls about like the energetics behind money. It's like, we can't come from a place of lack, even when we're getting what we want, because that's just going to bring more lack, as we know, because from the books we've read about spirituality, this is what they tell us. And so we're like, we're going to listen to that.
And it's all connected. And I love that you're bringing that up, because it's the mindset, like the math stuff. When people say, I can't do finances because I'm bad at numbers and math, and like, the numbers a fifth grader can do. It's the humanities part, it's the relationships part that fucks it up. It's like talking to your significant other about money, getting your friend to pay you back, asking for a raise, what do you say? It's those things that get in our way. So mindset matters so much. So I love that you're doing this holistic approach around different types of fitness, whether it's physical fitness, mental fitness, financial fitness, they're all interconnected.
Everything is connected. Everything comes back to how you feel. Like it really comes, I even was talking to the girls about, because a lot of people like look up to me for fitness, and I've spent like a really long time going deep into that world and understanding it on a spiritual level. Because if we're working out because we hate ourselves, that's not going to interpret. And so it's the same thing. If we're trying to save because we feel like we don't deserve it, or like we're just frugal and we're scared and there's just so much fear. And a lot of it comes from our upbringing as well. I remember my parents actually went bankrupt, and I think that actually caused somewhat of a trauma. And now I live with this like fear of I might lose it all at any point. And so it's also getting past that belief as well, which is what we're going to also. So while you are like, I mean, I'm sure you'll talk about this as well, because from what I can tell, you're deep into that work as well, which makes me super happy, because that's one of the main core beliefs of Queer Warriors, is just like, we're here in the matter in the physical world, but like realistically, like there's something else going on, and so we have to connect full. But I would love to hear kind of just, you've accomplished so much, and what would be like, and this is just a personal, I like didn't plan this at all. I just like, these questions are coming to me.
Great. I love it.
Goals in the next couple of years? Like, what are the next things that you tackle? Like you've done so much already.
Well, thank you. I have to birth those 7 books.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do that. Just started a daily show called Money Rehab on iHeart. And so every day we're taking questions and we're doing interventions. And I love digging into that, because we are also able to react to some of the news, and I can break that down, like what the fuck are NFTs? What happened with GameStop? And I'm just like, I get it. I know it's confusing. It's not that serious. Here's what's up. And so that makes me, I'm so proud of that show. And, I love the fact that I hear so many uncomfortable stories, because I believe in the philosophy, I'll go first. Like, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. But somebody has to go first, right? So like when you opened up, thank you so much for sharing about your parents' bankruptcy or your mother's death. Like I think that when it comes to uncomfortable, taboo conversations, somebody has to go first. And then it gives license to other people to do the same thing. And I think the last taboo we have is money. Like sexy time, we could talk about all day long. Like politics, no big deal. It's like dinner with my girlfriends. I'll say, what are you making this year? Because I want to help them make more. Or like, what is your significant other making? Because I want to make sure like they're set up for the future. They have a will and all these, not sexy fun things to do, but adult things to do. And it's crickets. And I'm like, girl, you just told me about your landing strip. Like, you got real serious personal. And you're quiet about the money? Like, what is this? Right?
So
you're laughing because it's true.
I've never asked my friends that ever, because it's such like an off, like you don't talk. That's so true. Oh my God, the trauma there is so real.
you go first. If you want to change that, right, then you lead. Because I think if we talk more about how we're negotiating or wages or what we're making, we're just going to get ahead more and more. If we're quiet about it, it's going to remain taboo.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I feel like this is going to be so powerful for the community because these are, once again, that trauma. We don't want to talk about it. And we're so about like, oh, I feel about it, but we don't actually want to talk about it. This is actually what's happening. How can I come to terms with that, but also come from a loving and not fearful place? That is really, really what I personally want to tackle. Um, can you let everyone know where you can get this book?
You're the best. Thank you so much. I know I'm sending out books to people right now. I can't believe, like, I'm not trying to, it's not product placement, but I was just pulling them out. I can't believe I wrote this many pages. Pretty bananas. Yeah, no, you have to catch up.
Poetry is like for
I
that.
know. But sneak attack, like there's some iambic pentameter within like finance stuff just to make me happy. There's all these like stories and confessions. Yeah, you can find them wherever books are sold. Amazon is probably honestly just gonna get to you the quickest, and yeah. So thank you so much for looking into finances vis-a-vis all the other wellness, because I think you're spot on with what you're doing. I love what you're doing with warriors. You are a warrior. Thank you for having me and sharing your story.
Thank you so much, Nicole. We are so grateful to have you on. I jumped up from my chair when you said yes. So thank you so much. I'm so excited, of course. I'm so excited to get to know you more. And guys, if you want to join, you can. It's wearewarriors.co. It's an amazing community where we can just connect and together because there is such a lack of connection, ironically, when we're so connected digitally. And so I wanted to break that barrier and create a community that's here for the personal growth of everyone else. So it's an amazing crew of a couple thousand girls from over 72 countries, just here wanting to heal and level up and be honest and share parts of themselves that we don't feel comfortable sharing on this platform right here. So thank you so much, Nicole. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank
All right.
you. I appreciate you. I think, yeah, I can't wait to continue the conversation.
I'll see you on the lives. Bye.